Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to sit down and do this before I left.
We're starting off
I know, I'm sorry.
on a happy note.
Yeah, I know. Happy note. But I wanted to sit down with you because I was talking to your dad. I was like, man, you know who I wanted to really sit down with and just kind of do a little interview with or little combo with? Anika. So
Anika.
Well, this is gonna be kind of like a duo conversation, so it'll just be great.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm gonna talk with you.
And I'm gonna talk with you.
And we're gonna get into the details of what our music is like and what are we even doing.
What are we even doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I feel like I ask that question all the time. Yeah, so I'm excited for us to dive in.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To a good interview or conversation. Yep. We're calling this a conversation.
It's a conversation. It's not an interview. No.
I mean, I have questions, of course, but you know,
that's a conversation.
So, is piano your main music? Your main instrument?
Yeah. I started off. My parents bought me a piano at 8 years old. Mm-hmm. Not me, actually, my sister, because she sang beautifully, and I just sang all the time. And
I love how you said that. I just sang all the time.
And so they bought a piano for her. It was a used one. And then I started off just playing random melodies. That's what my parents told me, that I was just playing. Somehow I remember that around 8 years old, I was playing stuff and it sounded nice. And it wasn't stuff that I learned, but just something that I was coming up with myself, trying to understand the instrument. So they sent me to a music school. It's a year later than usually. Usually you send your kids when they're 7 and starting off in first grade, but they got the piano when I was 8. So
yeah,
went off to music school to learn piano. And then,
how old were you then when you started? 8?
I think it was 8, maybe 9, but I don't remember.
Okay. Was that hard for you initially? Because before you were just playing, right? And then now you're having to learn specific things.
I can only talk about stuff from high school. I don't remember almost anything from my childhood.
So did you?
Sadly, but
did you when you were in high school, you went to the music school too?
Yeah. So you go to a music school. You do your whatever years you need to do. I had to do 8. Classical piano, and I realized I can't play the piano still. Not in a sense that I can't. It's just that I realized I have so much to learn more, learn still, and that was the logical step forward. And I went to it's the same school, so I went to the same school, but it was now a music high school, and so that was 4 years. And graduating, I realized I still have so much to learn, and I love it. But I, let's say, pivoted to composing. Okay. And now I'm at Music Academy learning composition and not classical piano anymore. So.
I like that word, pivoting.
I think I learned it from you.
Did you now?
Yes.
Okay. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Did you feel did you know that music was what you wanted to do? Do you remember when it was for you that you were just like, I want to do this? And
it's more like asking a kid, how did you know that you like candy? You just do, and you realize stuff that you don't like more than stuff that you do like. I don't know, it's like so natural for me. So I can't answer you, how did I know? No. I've had piano teachers that maybe not want to do music like at all. But it was at that time when everybody wants to quit music school, which is 5th, 6th grade, when it gets hard. When you start to have to do things and practice more, and you don't like the stuff that you're practicing. But you get past that point and you realize, you know what? This is kind of my thing, I guess. It's just, it feels natural to move into that direction still. And knowing that I will not be a classical pianist, but I still moved into that direction because it was what I knew, classical piano at that time. So it's more like realizing that I hate math, so I'm never gonna go in that direction.
Yeah. Cool.
And having, okay, I like this. Let's do it. I have so much to learn still. So I like that I have my earrings jingling.
Is that all right?
I hope you can't hear that. Yeah, you can hear that.
You can.
It's ASMR.
Nice.
So, yeah, so that was my start.
Okay.
How about you? What were you doing at 8 years old?
Oh man.
Was there music involved?
There was always music involved because my dad played Latin percussions, which was interesting. It's so funny having this conversation with you because I feel like we know each other, but we don't.
We don't.
But yeah.
In that sense.
In that sense, yeah. Yeah, my dad, I remember my dad playing this instrument called timbales. They're like two, I guess, drum kind of instruments with a cowbell in the middle. It was just like this like really cool rhythmic Latin instrument. And I believe he also played some congas too. And so my first instrument was actually drums because of my dad. So my dad was making so at 8 years old, I'm pretty sure I was sitting in the kitchen and I took all the pots and pans and put them out on the floor and just started banging.
That explains the photo that you just posted with little Isa in the tambourine.
Yeah.
Little Isa.
Yeah, somebody snapped that shot and but I was just like, I remember that. I remember being in the kitchen. I even remember swallowing dish soap and thinking I was going to die at that young because I was just experimenting and I saw some dish soap and I just started swallowing it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so random. But I remember that. I remember sitting in the middle of the kitchen and just hitting. So, and then my mom was a singer and she was really, really good at it. Like really good at it. And so along with, you know, drums being my first instrument, it was easy for me to pick up harmonies because I would hear my mom sing, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I would just pick up the harmony. I could hear the harmonies, and it. My musical journey was different because I didn't go to school like you did. Everything was ear for me, and I think that's how I just started hearing things in my head and thinking, is this right? You know, like, what is this? Like, what am I hearing? And even with like rhythmically, like I just kept hearing these beats and it just was, so that's kind of how I started. And then I kind of gradually, I picked up a guitar. My parents, my dad bought me, my first instrument was an electric drum set.
Electric.
Yeah, electric drum set. Because we couldn't afford, I don't know if this was a reason. I don't think we could afford, they were cheaper at the time than an actual drum set or something. I don't even know what it was, but I just remember my dad just opting for that because I think it was cheaper to get. And so I never took any lessons.
So you could play me a beat on the drums. Could you do that now?
I haven't played drums in a while. I was up in your brother's little drum set in his room the other day. Or was it a few weeks ago? Was it a few weeks ago? He's here in the room, so I think it was a few weeks ago. And No, not a few weeks. It's probably a month ago.
My whole perception of you has
You weren't
changed.
here. You weren't here.
Your background being percussion is not something that I would guess about you now.
Really?
Percussion being your first thing? No.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, it was that. I can, when we go back to the house, I can play you a beat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah, I can play you a beat.
And
I mean, it's not going to be good. It's not like I sit in front of a, drum set every day and just start playing and banging around.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that. Like I hear a lot of that stuff in some of the stuff that I write. So, but yeah, that's so funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll play you some beats. But yeah, that was my first. And then I actually went towards bass. This was a progression. It was drums, then bass, because I loved everything like beat and low end. Like I just was obsessed with just the deepest sound. And so I started playing bass. That was my first like string instrument, I guess. And then I went towards piano for like a minute, and I was just like, yeah, it's too complicated. And then I went over to guitar.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
Which is so funny right now because it's basically almost. I mean, when I think about playing something right now, it's just piano.
Yeah,
it's not even guitar. I don't reach for the guitar when I'm writing now.
Yeah,
which is so weird.
Yeah,
which is why I want you to teach me some more piano.
Anyway. I will be teaching Isa piano lessons as it turns out.
Yes.
I was actually thinking throughout the day, what will I be assigning you?
Oh. Yeah, what? Yeah, that's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm teaching piano lessons now.
Yes, you are. And you have a few students.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's something that I didn't know I had in me, was teaching, until a mom called me. She's like, I have 2 daughters. The previous teacher moved. So could you? She told me to call you, and I told her I've never done that. I didn't call her for a month, but I kept having this nudge to call her back, and I was like, and I was still in high school, and so that nudge didn't go away, and I called her back, and she was like, yeah, and from the first lesson, I was like, oh my gosh. It's hard, but I didn't know I had that in me until the very first lesson. Yeah,
I mean, we don't know we have things in us until we say yes to the thing that scares us.
I can't imagine my parents not buying a piano for my sister. Like, how would that have gone if we didn't have an instrument
in the house? Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, maybe you would have. Well, no.
We don't.
You wouldn't. I was going to say, you could be in the kitchen and getting all the pots and pans and start banging on them.
No, my technique's very introverted, and I would most likely just sing in a screeching voice. But
ooh, let's talk about the creative process.
Yes.
So when you're writing your pieces, what's your writing process?
The writing process depends on where am I at in life or emotionally, because my first album those songs, those pieces are just my most emotional moments, I would say. Moments as like, especially now when I'm writing stuff, it encapsulates a moment in time. My classmate said, he's like, now I get what your music is like. Why is it like that? Or what you mean by it's so dear to you, or why is it so emotional, or it encapsulates a moment of time? Because he started doing the same thing, kind of. He started writing something that he allowed to just flow something. Oh wait, I'm translating in my head.
I can tell when you.
He just started he wanted to try what it is like to write emotionally, let it out, and then kind of work around whatever came out of you at that moment. And I would say it's like that. I am emotional, or it will be a nudge that I have to get to the piano and just let it out, especially as an introvert. And back in the day, I didn't use my words quite much.
Yeah.
Or I just didn't know how to use them. And so my words were notes. And so I would scream stuff that was inside of me through melodies, stuff I couldn't say with words. That's my first album, stuff I couldn't say with words. And I've tried to, since it's all instrumental and it's mostly piano, the first album, I wrote down a poem for every other piece, just for my own sake to know with words, what am I actually saying there? Trying to figure out that emotion. And that was nice. That gave me some clarity about what that piece was like. And it helped me in the practicing process. Because when I got the clarity, okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I want people to catch, and this is what I'm portraying. Now I know more how to play it emotionally, because there's a difference. So I get to the piano now, studying composition. It has changed a bit, and that's what I love about studying composition. It's your major, so. As an ex-classical pianist, my day-to-day was like, okay, I have to practice this and this hours. I have to practice these pieces, and you practice them. With composing, I was like, okay, how do I do this if it's my major? And I think, and I tried to do the same. I have to write this and this. I have to write something for the exam. I have to write it by this date. So every day I just sit by the piano or at a cafe and write. And whether it's for a time period, okay, I have to write stuff out, and sometimes it's hard because you're like, I have nothing in me. But then I edit notes. If I have nothing new to put out of myself, I edit notes. I just make the most out of whatever I feel like. In that way, I'm very intuitive and very, I feel like doing this. I try to put discipline into it, but it's very, I don't know, music just flows whatever emotion I'm feeling. I want to say it. It's not like I want to let it out, because it's still going to be there. I want to say it. How about you? Now that you're composing for films, now that you're composing for others, how does that work? Because can you let your emotions dominate? Or do you let the whatever is on screen what is that like, actually, to compose for something that you see already?
It's actually pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I think so. Before I was doing composing, I was a songwriter, right? So I mean,
we'll get to that.
So I obviously wrote from what I was feeling, what I was dealing with at the time. I think anytime you get in front of, anytime you get in front of your instrument, whether that's your voice or piano, guitar, you are, I think, maybe, for me, not all the time. I wasn't necessarily singing or writing from, you said a place and time. Is that, when you say that, are you saying that at the moment you're feeling this way, so that's how you write? Or do you ever go back to, like, something that happened in the past, or like, is it, sorry, we're going back to you, but I'll answer your question. I'm just curious to know more about that, because, I think anything we write, every time we write, we're writing from a moment in time, right? Whether that's the past, present, or maybe even future.
Yeah.
So was that when you were writing your songs for your record that you put out?
Mm-hmm.
Were those songs? Did they come out just like this moment? I'm feeling sad. I'm going to write this.
It's more like I am feeling overwhelmed. Let me just improvise.
Right. Okay.
Let me just.
I like that word.
Record.
Yep.
I have, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 voice memos.
Let's not talk about that. It's terrible.
And a lot of pieces have come from me feeling some type of way. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just improvise. And it's not even that long. Mm-hmm. It's not even that long. And I improvise. And if it sticks to me, if that melody somehow was like, you know what, let me try it again. And it's the next day. Mm. And then again.
Yeah.
That's how a piece comes together. And then, okay, all of the feeling stuff is I don't feel anymore and I don't have that emotion anymore. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like sitting down and, okay, what am I missing? Oh, I'm missing an intro. I'm missing an ending. I'm missing a middle, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then composing around that. But then I think that's easier because you have the emotion in that melody already. Mm-hmm. And it kind of invokes in you every time you play, every other time that you play it out in the process when it's still fresh.
Yeah. So obviously when I'm writing for like a trailer or a story that's not my own, I look at the characters and see what the story is, what the character arc is. Should I write a theme for this character? Like right now I'm working on an extended story of our short, The Pinnacle. And when I first started thinking about the music, I decided to sit down and just write villain music. And so I just wrote all this villain music that's like super intense and just angry. And not that I was angry, but I wanted to get into the mind of whoever the villain is in the story and create the most interesting parts about doing like writing music for something else is you get to kind of write different things and just like explore. And I mean, you do that too when you're writing your own stuff, but you're not sitting down writing villain music. You know what I mean?
There's like, something about like, having a prompt.
Yeah. And so I'm not looking at a script. I'm just thinking about who this guy is or girl is, or maybe the villain is a system or a government. And so I'm thinking about those things and what, what their story arc is, why they do what they do. Do I want the audience to feel some sort of sympathy for this person? I just find it interesting, like for there to be like a story of a villain that is trying to destroy everyone, but they have their own backstory, and there's a reason why there's some motivation behind their actions, and sometimes there isn't. Maybe they just were born that way, And so, but I like to feel like I want to root for the villain in a story. Like I want to root for them to do good. I want to root for them to. I find that those kind of villains are fun to write for.
Okay,
because
those kind of villains are fun.
They're fun to write for because you could in the music you can bring out some emotional human elements into their theme, and I like that. I like to do that. Yeah, so I love that you use the word improvise, because that's what I do. Sometimes I call them journals, like music journals.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll just start with a empty project file in Logic, and I'll just pick a random patch, whether that's a pad or some really cool like space ambient piano, and I'll just start writing stuff, and sometimes I'm thinking about like the recent piece I wrote, it was a love letter to this place and what this place has meant to me. I'm going to start.
Because she's leaving.
Shoot. I called it sinking because the second time I was out here, I went to visit the forts. And I remember, I think the first time I went with your dad. And I remember just staring at the forts and thinking, there are military forts that are along the Baltic Sea. I'm just letting people know what I'm talking about. But they're sinking into the sea. They're like sunken into the sea, and I just thought it was the most intense, like to have a military fort that's forts are supposed to, when I think of a fort, they're supposed to protect, have a barrier between you and the enemy, and to have them like just fall right into the sea. Like I just thought, oh my gosh. And I couldn't help but think about what fort I had built that needed to sink. And at that time in my life, I just coming out of a divorce and feeling like I didn't know who I was anymore or what I wanted to do, or if I wanted to do music, or not, or it was just like it was like I was working on a blank slate. But in a lot of ways, I felt like I needed to kind of destroy, like just let things sink, so that I could like figure out who I really was and what I really wanted to do, and what really mattered to me, and not based off of somebody, dream or castle that they built for me, or fort that they built for me, or a fort that I built that I thought, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like for me. And this is what I should, if I sing, then I should be doing this. Or if I, and so I just had to kind of just like, just do what was visually in front of me. Like I just was like, and that to me, I think was between that and you, I was here, what, 4 years ago? Was it 4 years? It was 4 years ago.
Facebook memory. There was a Facebook memory.
You posted that this week. Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
That was it was a little more than 4 years ago. Because I came twice. Like I came once for an event, and then I came several months later for the summer, and I stayed the whole summer. But for the event, I actually did not get to come into Leopai, I don't think. And then the second time I came, I spent like 3 months out here, and I just, I took all 90 days. I was like, I'm just gonna take all 90. How many days do I have before I have to leave the country? I'm going to take them all. And part of that was just, I just felt like I needed to get away from everything that felt familiar to me, so that I can like just not have all the influences saying this is who you are, or not that people were saying that, but just being in a space like can dictate like who you are and what you're supposed to do. And I just felt like I just needed to just be in some neutral spot where I wasn't really known, and where I could really like tune into what it is that I really wanted to do and why, and not really care. And so when I was writing, I had just visited the forts recently. It wasn't as emotional, but in a lot of ways, it was like a reminder of, oh my gosh, this was where it started for me. This was where I pivoted. It was because of the forts. It was because everywhere I went in the house, there was somebody playing the piano. A house I was staying in had like one or two pianos, like so many. There was just like everywhere I went, there was a piano. I was just like, I couldn't get away from music, even if I wanted to. And so you would be playing these melodies, and it would just be like haunting and sticky meaning like the melody would just stay with you. It's just like, And it was almost like beckoning me to come back to it and to not have any limitations about it and not feel like I had to be this thing that I didn't really want to be. And so, yeah, the forts. So I wrote this melody line and it's called Sinking. And I was listening to it today because your dad was like, can you play that again? And I was like, sure. And I was just like, it's a love letter to this place because this place has been more than just this random city in Latvia, you know. It was a place where I was like, oh, I'm going to pivot. And I know that that's okay. And maybe not a lot of people will like that or whatever, but I need to be true to me, you know. And 2 months later, I'm in the States and I get to my first symphony ever. And I knew every piece that was playing and I thought to them, they were all from films. And I was just sitting there like, it was just like this like ton of bricks. Like I've been so afraid to pursue this all of my life for as long as I can remember. I just remember sitting there listening to the E.T. theme, Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. I mean, these are all movies that I've grown up with, and I knew the melody line. I knew when the strings would come in. I knew when they would leave. Like I knew when, you know, the cymbals would crash. Like it was just like the weirdest thing. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. And this is what I'm going to do. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do this. And so I just decided that that's what I wanted to do. And because I really, really, at that time, I didn't realize how much I love story and storytelling.
Yeah, I remember. Was it 2018?
Yeah.
19? That post that you, like, I got as a Facebook memory. I remember you captioned it. You've posted a photo of me and I was practicing. I'm seeing a lot of scores. It's my old piano there.
Yeah.
And I remember that time because, you know, I was just playing my melodies and I don't think I even had a whole piece from start to finish composed then. 2018, October 30th. So that's like really
that. Yeah, when you sent it, I was just like, this is crazy. I was probably
you wrote there's talent and then there's the ability to convey a message that unlocks the heart. That's a whole other thing. And I remember you posting that and that meaning so much to me, which was a little beginning for me to even, 2018, I think was a time where I had these random encouragements from random people saying that my music did something to them. And I was like, that's not even like being selfish or being arrogant. That's realizing, okay, it does something to people. I am so scared to put it out. I don't have the skill to record it. I actually did record 2 of my pieces in 2018 that didn't see the light at an actual studio. But, and I have no idea why didn't they, because we recorded them but stuff just got into the way and the producer didn't do stuff and whatnot. And I think that was a blessing because I listened to those recordings a few years back and I was like, I did not have that skill. I did not practice as much as I needed to. I did not work on that piece as much as I needed to. And so that was a nice experience, I guess. I don't even think about it. Yeah. But that was a time, that was a year when where even you going through changes and trying to figure out what do you want to do. And I was just playing my melodies and somehow.
Yeah, it was, and it wasn't just that moment. There was so many moments. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like every time you would play, it would just be like a truck, Mack truck, hitting me in a good way, like I mean, I was contemplating just being done with it altogether, by then.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, going back to the writing process, when you sit down in front of, a project file and you just play. Hans Zimmer does this. He just kind of thinks about a character and he'll just play random things and he'll just press record. Like we do this all the time. You and I.
Yeah,
both.
yeah.
Just press record every time I'm in front of a piano. I press record.
Yeah.
I don't even play with that because you just never know what comes out. Like,
yeah.
And every time I don't do that, which is like very, very not often, I just go, why didn't I record this?
Yes. And then you try to replicate it and
it's like, that sucked.
Yeah. That's not the same. I don't remember anymore.
Yeah. So you always want to press record for all. Always press record.
You want to have a phone that has a bunch of different. You want to be paying monthly a lot of dollars.
Yeah, for space in your phone.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Like, and so that's how I do it when I'm either in front of a piano, I'll just press record, or if I'm in front of my my little mini lab 3 and my laptop while I'm here, I press record and I just play and play, and sometimes I'll hear a melody. Most of the time I hear it and then I just have to figure out what is that? Like what is that? Like what is that note? And so
that's interesting.
That's how it comes to me a lot of the time. I hear it.
I don't think so.
You don't?
I guess it comes with being maybe classically trained. It depends really on the person. I'll have professors that look at the score and they hear the piece. I'm like, no. Yeah. I'll try to look at a score and be like, maybe I'm kind of, and then I actually play, no. And so I don't have that. It's more like just playing it out. And then when I'm writing the score, writing the notes down, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually the rhythm. Why is it so hard? It sounds so simple. What do you mean? I've had so much trouble with rhythm.
Oh man.
And people will be like, how do you even play this rhythm? I'm like, I don't know, but look, just listen. It's so simple. And then, they'll get it. But
it takes a while. Yeah.
I am my own teacher. My music is my teacher.
Yeah, that's funny. So that's our creative process. Do you like listening to your own music?
I feel like people.
Honestly.
I feel like people are afraid to say yes because it will seem selfish. But the more I spend time on TikTok and I see my generation just promoting their stuff like there's no tomorrow. I'm like, you know what? It's actually cool to be a fan of your own music.
Yeah.
Because that confidence, it's catchy. You're like, okay, they're vibing to it. I want to vibe too. It sounds nice actually. Yeah. But if it would be like this shy kind of representation of that song, especially on TikTok. But yeah, I do. It's been a while actually. I don't listen to my first album because I'm working on my second, and then I'll go to my whatever files app I have it on, and so I'll from time to time I'll listen to it because it's a specific vibe. It's It's still instrumental. It's still something that I think it's cool to listen to your music because if you wrote it, that means you liked it. So why wouldn't you be liking it and listening to it? Yeah. It's not my everyday.
Right. It's not your day too. It's not like I wake up and I like,
let me just
get on your Spotify and be like, play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving myself some more streams.
We all need more streams.
We do.
Oh man.
Spotify, do better.
Do better. Do better, Spotify.
Yeah. Do you? You have so many different things to listen to that you've put out.
Yeah,
You have a variety. What's the word?
Variety. Wow, I almost forgot the word. I had to really think about that one.
Yeah, you have worship songs. Mm-hmm. We should talk about what you did before you pivoted to composing for films. Mm-hmm. For, video.
Yeah, I did. I grew up in the church. So my mom was a singer in the church. My dad played the Latin percussions. He was such a bad A on him too.
Bad A.
He was beep. He was awesome. He made me fall in love with rhythm. And my mom made me fall in love with voice. And that was the only instrument she could. I mean, she didn't play any instruments. Her voice was her instrument. Mm-hmm. I consider that an instrument. So
yeah.
So I grew up in the church, and I did that. So I was, singing and playing, and I just started. What do you want to know about it? I just started writing songs.
We know how you started off. We know that you're doing film now, but you also have. Let me just pull out your Spotify. Ooh. We also can see that, Isa Agape. We see that you have, from 2004, you have...
Yeah. That song.
Three songs. Then you have...
Yep. Not all my albums are on there. I just realized that. There you have it.
That was another question that I had.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about the 2000s, the beginning of 2000s.
Okay.
Rend the Heavens is the name.
Yeah. I wrote that. That was probably one of the fastest songs I've ever written. That one and Song for Mom.
Yeah, which is in the...
And it was more a storyteller type song, and it was about losing my mom, and the grief of that, and the hope of seeing her again. And so, that was a very long season, and I did all the things. I did the conferences. I sang in a stadium.
I've heard Isa's songs in seminars that my parents brought me to, and your songs have been. That's why they were played there, because the lyrics were something else. Let me put words to it. They were a story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are a story that starts off with something, and then in the ending you're just a different person, because you just heard the story. It impacted people, it impacted me. That's why it was played there, and with those melodies and with everything going on there musically. It made people think. Of course songs make people think, but they were different. I'm trying to put words. They were different in the sense that they made people think and then do an action. Whether it was realizing they need to forgive, whether it was realizing they need to, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to live life fuller. Yeah. That's what your songs did.
Yeah. And those songs that they played at the event, I wrote them with Danny Johnson, and they were different, and they were the common phrase that I kept hearing at those business events was you sing lyrics, you sing words that or feelings that I wish I can put into words. Yes. That's
Yes.
And yeah, I don't do that anymore. I told a friend recently, this summer actually, I said, I just don't have any more words to say right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have any more, like the lyrics just aren't there for
But
me.
you have a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I definitely write from that place of emotion. Like what was it that I said in that caption, you know, about like you can have all the talent.
Yeah, then there's
talent, and then there's
convey a message. Wait, something. Let me just.
I think for me, like
the ability to convey a message that unlocks the heart. Yeah.
So that part, that I think that's what matters to me more than anything when it comes to music is not, and it's been a really hard process for me because I have a newsletter, and the reason why I have the newsletter is for accountability. So when I'm not working on a project, actively working on something or writing for something, I'm still writing. You know what I mean? Like it's just accountability, just getting something out there in the ether, you know, whether it's good or not perfect. Like I preface that, you know, like you're going to be a part of this newsletter. I'm going to put out what they're going to be called demos. And some of them might actually be, you know, a collection of work that I will maybe revisit in the future and put out a legit album and put it up on Spotify, and all the streaming services. But until then, I'm just going to write. I'm just going to write, figure out my craft, figure out what it means to compose for film. I'll forever be figuring that out. I think I woke up this morning thinking, gosh, it was so overwhelming to start because it wasn't just about knowing how to write for screen. It was about automation and mixing. You know, all the technical stuff, you know.
Do you do everything by yourself, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
For everything that you do now?
Yes.
Meaning, I wanted to ask you about the process back then for your albums back then as well.
Well,
but now you do everything by yourself. You learned it.
I do. Yeah. Like if there's a project that I'm working on, I'll get an actual mixer. I am not a mixer by any stretch of the imagination.
And we don't have to be everything.
We don't have to be everything.
There are people that are skilled
to do that, to mix and master. And so, but I do have a newsletter, and I try to make it sound decent enough so that people could like put the headphones on and kind of take in all the stuff. And so, but when I'm doing a project, like when I did Pinnacle is a short film that I put out a year and a half ago. Like obviously we hired a mixer and just a mixer actually to mix that. And that was great because I
And how was that actually? Can we talk about that?
Pinnacle?
Working with engineers, sound engineers, mixers, whatever you call them, when you don't know anything about that field. Because I was there, I was so clueless. What do they even do? And so, how was that for you?
It wasn't that bad because I had so. Obviously, I was doing the singer-songwriter thing for a long time, worship leading stuff for a long time, and I put out records in that genre. And those people, like the people that were around me to help me do that, like I was never in front of the computer. I was always the one, obviously in the booth, recording my vocal and my guitar, writing the songs, blah, blah, blah. But I knew enough in terms of like language to know what I wanted. And so I felt like that really like helped me through the process of figuring out how do I do this. But when I first started the scoring thing, I was 2 weeks into it, and I got an email from Spitfire Audio about
just casually
dropping Spitfire Audio about a scoring contest for Westworld HBO. And I was like, this is perfect, because if I'm gonna do this and invest thousands of dollars, because that's and time and energy and to figure this out, so much money. I always do things that are so expensive, photography, just like gear after gear.
Yeah, she does nice photos.
It's just like, wow. Then this is a good test. This is a good test. I was like, so if I like doing this, no, I had to actually love it so much. Like, I had to love it. So I started doing that, and I got the scene, and I wrote this piece for like, I think I spent like an hour writing it, and it was done, and I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, okay, now I got to get it mixed and mastered and then sent in to the,
Yeah.
So we had somebody do that, and I kind of already knew what I wanted to hear or wanted to feel.
Yeah.
And so that's how I communicate. I was like, well, I want to feel, I want to feel the low end here more than, the high end.
That makes sense, yeah.
Or, I wanted to slowly, and this was me still learning slowly, like have the strings kind of build into a crescendo and then drop off or whatever. And that was me figuring out, I can do that with automation, or I can do that on my end, and then a mixer can go in and fine tune it or whatever, And so, yeah,
it was.
It's a process. It's not an easy thing. It's not. The mixing thing is not easy.
No.
So, yeah.
Doing stuff for the first time is not easy.
No, doing stuff for the first time is not easy. So by the time I did Pinnacle, like it was easy. I knew that piece, like the back of my hand. Like I knew what I wanted to feel. I just knew it. And I did a lot of the automation on that. Automation is like, what's automation? Automation is just basically like, I want to increase the sound here and have it
but
off, fade
digitally.
Digitally.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think too, like automation is that, but it's also like, I want to filter the sound out, and make it be like turn the knob and then slowly, open the sound like up, whatever. So
yeah.
I'm not technical at all in that direction. I just know what I want to hear, and then I just figure out how to do it. Because I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
I didn't go to school for none of it.
But like, okay, I went to school, but I didn't go to school for that.
Right.
And so it was quite similar working with my producer. I just knew how I wanted that.
Wait.
How I wanted that to feel.
When you worked on your latest project, how hard was it for you to trust your producers in the process? What was that like?
There were pieces where I knew what I wanted to portray, and my producer, he's like this visionary. He would pull out these weird random instruments, keyboards that I've never seen, but he let me, he would pull them out.
Mm-hmm.
He would have something playing in his head.
Mm-hmm.
He would pull them out and just arrange them and plug them in. Yeah. But he would let me to play that single note that he had in his head. And so I had an idea of what I kind of wanted it to sound like, but it wasn't set in stone, so to say. And then him pulling out that instrument and letting me improvise on that was like, okay, now the piece sounds like it's more alive. It has more colors. It has more shades. And so it sounds better. So, and I really liked that he gave me the freedom to even play that one single note. There was a piece where he pulled a keyboard and I just played one single note on that keyboard. Nothing much. But
do you remember what keyboard it was? Was it a Moog?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was
the sound.
It was exactly that.
Listen.
And there was a piece where I had to learn to trust. And that was a nice moment. I even caught it on camera because I was filming the process. And it was this moment where him and the pianist that was helping me with the album, consulting me and teaching me, he was at the studio as well. And I was recording. It was one of the last pieces. And I was like, emotionally, I'm not feeling like I want to. And I don't know if I... And so it was a great moment where they said, you don't have to feel... You don't have to feel that emotion because we're feeling it. And like logically, it seems so simple, but that was a moment for me where I realized that, I don't have to feel everything at that exact moment when I'm playing. And it's actually more about how it sounds versus how it feels. The feeling can be an inspiration, but how it sounds later on is what I learned that I need to look for. And so my producer was very, he had these ideas, simple ideas. And so I had the freedom, okay, we can try this out. And later on in the process, if I didn't like it, we just toned it down, but at least we tried out these ideas. And so that's what it's like with him. It's very simple. It's very
chill.
It's chill. It's free. He has a lot of patience with me because I'm not that. He makes me sound like a professional pianist. I am not that. No, he makes me sound like that, and I love him because he is one of the best. And so. You asked about the latest project. That was not my latest project working with him. My latest, I think, was...
Because you have 2 singles out right now. You have...
Yeah, but I also, at the Academy, I record pieces for stuff that I show at the Academy. I've divided my stuff that I have on Spotify and my music, so to speak, my music, and the stuff that I compose at the Academy. I've divided it. Now, in this season, I've divided it, and I haven't put out anything on Spotify that I've composed
while you're at the Academy.
Yeah, because it's stuff that I'm learning there, and I'm just gaining new insight and just learning stuff, and so my latest experience would be working with a student, that's learning mixing and sound engineer and all that. And so having that experience with my actual producer was easier to work with a student. You kind of know that you kind of know where you have to say what you need to say. This is how I want it to sound. Hey, maybe let's tone it down. It's like I think it's about having that freedom to say, okay, let's try this, then realizing no, and then having that freedom to say, no, let's go back again. I think it's about that, maybe.
Ooh, you ready for this? What is the most memorable or meaningful composition you've created so far, and what inspired it?
Memorable, meaningful. I would say maybe Surely Goodness.
Really?
So the 2 singles that are there,
which is Surely Goodness and
Waltz. I wrote as a waltz. I practiced and composed the waltz, and I went to David's Clemens and
well, who's David's? Who is he?
The Steve Jobs of piano.
The Steve Jobs of piano making.
It was a dream of mine to record on his unique piano.
Yeah.
And so we arranged that, and so his pianos are in a different city than my producer lives.
Yeah.
And so my producer came to that city, I came to that city, And I had one piece in mind. And since my producer came from a whole other city and stayed the night, he was like, no, let's do another piece. And I'm like, what's another piece? What do you mean? Because I'm not that professional to be improvising on the spot. I
love improvising on the spot.
I'm learning that, but what was it? Last year? 2 years ago? Whatever. I was not comfortable doing that at all. I had not done that before that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, what do I have? And I was thinking in my mind, okay, I have this melody. I did a demo a few weeks ago on synths, but I have that maybe. And it was this melody that I had played on the on the roof of my countryside's house. I just brought a synthesizer out on the roof and I was just playing. And I remember posting that video, and my mom, that melody stuck with my mom, and she would always say, there's something about it. There's something about it. Just like you saying there's something about it. Stuff like that sticks to me. If people close to me say that there's something about it and they put some very, I don't want to say profound words, but some words that make you like, okay, that melody,
you take notice,
hit them in a spot and did something. Okay, maybe it's worth working on. Yeah. And so I had that melody and we recorded that, and that was weird to record something spontaneous. And then the feedback I got when that song was released was, it's my favorite piece to play. It's the feeling I get when I play that. And my mom named it. I'm not good with piece names, naming my pieces. No! I have a dark blank page in my head. I have no clue. And so my album was named by my family and my friends, most of the pieces. And so Shirley Goodness was
your album's name.
Volume 1, which was my brother's idea.
Which one?
Roberts's.
Okay.
Because I just didn't.
One.
And that was easy because I know what I'm going to call my next album.
Volume 2.
I don't have to think. And so my mom named it because for her, it was like that verse came to her.
So funny.
Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. And so when I played that piece at a concert, and the atmosphere was so... I played it at a church at my countryside that I would just sneak into and just play whatever I had on my heart. And so that church was special to me. And playing that at my concert and just... It's one of those moments where you can hear other people's reactions even. Like feel... There's something with that melody. Yeah. It was, I'm like there, mentally I'm there right now. I had tears in my eyes playing that. There's something about that piece. Just even practicing it has always been special, a bit more special than practicing other pieces.
That makes sense.
What is yours? Well, if you had to pick one, maybe pick two, because you have so many.
Well, I have to pick the pinnacle track, Desolate, because that was kind of at the height of. Truth be told, I was looking at everything that was going on in our society, and I thought, we are on a slippery slope of craziness. And I was feeling really sad about it. and really helpless. And it was like a bad movie. It's been like a bad movie. And I was just like, I need to. So I just started writing, and I wrote this piece. And I'm with you. I hate titling anything because it's just terrible. I mean, I don't even know if desolate is really the right word.
Yeah, I look back and I'm like, did I have to call it fulfilled? Did I have to call it compassion?
That's so funny.
I there's something about names that are so simple and so telling. I'm like, could I not have thought about it a bit more?
Yeah. I thought about that one a lot, and I was just like, that's the thing. I was like, but the story is about, loss of innocence, whatever happened to the days of innocence when the children were laughing in the streets. Like, we can't even do that without somebody shooting, or getting robbed, or getting stabbed to death. Like, it just is. It's bad, and I was not happy about our leadership, and I was not happy about us as a society. Like, just like where we can't even agree to disagree, but still break bread, with each other. Like, I can disagree with maybe something that you said or whatever, but I will still love you no matter what. And like, we don't even know how to do that anymore. And it just really grieved me. And I wrote this piece called Desolate. And it, when it's like that, when it's really deep and it's really like intense, it comes really fast. Like, it just is not something I have to work for necessarily. Yeah. I feel like I have worked for it because I'm a feeler. I feel a lot, and it's hard for me to turn off that antenna. And so when I see stuff online, or I at the time I was seeing really good friends getting censored, and I just thought, this is bad. Like, I'm not about that. I'm just not. We start censoring people, and it becomes, it's just bad. It's just bad. It's slippery slope is what it is. And so yeah, I wrote that piece because of that, and other things that it was just a bad time. It was October of 2021 when I wrote that piece, and then we went to the desert and filmed a short film, and then we submitted it to some film festivals, and we got into a few, and we won some awards, and it was great. So I would say that is like of some of the pieces that I've written post 2019. Like, since 2019, that was really memorable. I think the latest one, Sinking, is really obviously another one. So, I mean, there's so many.
You should post that on Spotify.
There's so many, there's so many that are just like, they pull at my heart because there's so much emotion. Like, I feel all the emotion when I listen to those pieces. There's another one that I wrote based off of two characters from one of my favorite shows called Manifest. And I wrote that in 2021. So I was maybe like 6 months into composing, and I wrote that piece. And it was kind of like a theme. It was a theme for, a love theme for these two characters. And the company I was hired to do this album for, they named it Floating Points, which I thought was funny. And I just didn't care because it was like, I was like, I can't come up with a title. I sent the email, and I was just like, can you guys come up with a title for this? Because it can't be that. Because people are going to see that.
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? It's the ship name. it was Zakela theme, and so people are going to be like, "What is that?" You know, and so. Okay. So they had to. I was like, "Can you guys change that title because it's not going to work?" And they did. They changed it to Floating Points. I thought that's somewhat okay, I guess. Whatever. But that one is special to me too. So I mean, there's so many really great ones that I.
Each piece is special. There are pieces that I don't listen to ever. I skip them.
Same.
I'm like, I did compose them. It was me, but you know, it's good that some people like them.
Listen, at least you don't have a newsletter. I have 2 years worth, almost 2 years worth of music. I mean, that's what, almost 44 tracks.
That's nice.
It is nice. I can go back and go, okay.
I think
that's what I'm going to do next year is just kind of go back to the vault. I call it the vault. And see like which one really, really is great that I could like go to the studio and create an album, you know, like a...
Can I just say that I've loved your journey? I don't know if I've said this, but like I remember what your skill was like in 2018.
Oh man. With the piano?
Just actually musically from what I had... Not singer-songwriter. I didn't think about that. Mm-hmm. But where you started to have ideas where you want to pivot, which was composing.
Yeah, which is different. So different.
And I remember your skill and I was like, okay. And
honesty is the best policy.
And you shocked me of you have this insane curiosity that just makes you reach out to people, just makes you learn, you don't stop, which is what I admire. You haven't stopped. You have learned so much. You have gained so many contacts. You have met up with so many people, different people, names that are huge, and that has been in the span of 4 years. And I don't want to put you down or anything, but let's say you started from zero, and it's been, it hasn't been like this small linear. What's the word? Linear. I'm not a native speaker.
I know, but you're so good. God.
And that has shocked me, truly.
It shocked me. It shocks me.
I've loved seeing you post your stuff and your journey on Instagram, and just everything around that, or even just stuff that doesn't even, it's not around music, but your way of thinking, how it impacts everything that you do. I love that. I really admire that. This is me saying that publicly.
Oh,
and I've even told my friends from time to time about you that, I have this friend and she started off like this and now she's here, and man, I have to, get my stuff together and
what?
Meaning, seeing your curiosity has, I don't want to say inspired, but just has given me the courage to be more curious, because I see where curiosity can lead, where it has led you.
Yeah.
And I have dimmed down my curiosity out of the fear of rejection, like curious about other big composers, or like just dreaming about writing a huge piece, a symphony.
Yeah.
Dimming that down because you haven't done that.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
Dimming that down, but seeing somebody like you just being curious and leaning towards that. Hey, what if I just learned stuff, did stuff? It's a journey, but what if I...
Yeah.
And seeing where that has led you.
Yeah. I
think it's worth being curious.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Thank you. What?
What?
I don't even know how to transition out of that. Yeah, it's been a really wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured I better get some people skills in me. And when I started, I was like, I need to reread certain books and really like, it's really easy to become familiar with people around you and not ask questions that kind of dig deeper into who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to. I mean, I knew that when I said yes to composing and I was just like, I'm going to do this. One of the things I told myself was, if it takes me 10 years to figure this out, it would be worth it. Because when I did the Westworld contest, I came alive in that room. It was the most alive I've ever been doing music. And I was like, what is this feeling? Because it was thrilling. It was scary. It was exhilarating. It was new. It was fresh. It was...
And were you embarrassed as well?
Embarrassed about the music?
Like, so you describing that feeling is what I felt like at the studio for the first time. Right place, right time. But I was also so scared and so embarrassed. I felt so lame. And it's like... And it felt like the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah.
So, being so alive.
Yeah, it's like some random feelings. They were clashing. Clashing feelings. Like, okay, I feel, yeah, for sure.
But that didn't mean that, the fact that I felt embarrassed recording my album most of the time. It didn't mean that,
that you weren't supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My motto was doing it scared, do it afraid, do it embarrassed.
Yeah. I just posted something today on Instagram because oh gosh, let me see. Waiting to be ready will crush your dreams and rob the world of your creative power. Do it now, do it wrong, then do it again, better. So I knew that. Listen, I mean, I looked at all of Hans Zimmer's work, and I looked at his very first thing that came out, and I was just like, dude, even the master craftsman, like even he had to start somewhere, right? And so,
which feels insane because we see the result.
Insane.
We see the result of their fruit.
The
fruit of their work.
Their labor,
and that was something that I had to see and learn that it feels like they already had all of that and they had more.
Yeah. So I saw his, like, I saw the progression and I was just like, I'm good. not in like a, and he, I don't know much of his, entire background, but I mean, some of these composers have gone to school for this stuff and, whatever. And they can get in front of a, Pro Tools or Logic and do their thing and it be so amazing and whatever. And me, I'm starting at a very, very, I'm older, not going to go to school now. I mean, I guess I can go to school, but I can. But, I kind of am in school, I'm kind of...
It's a different kind of
school. Yeah. Hard Knocks, where I felt like everything I had done prior to the pivot, all the church stuff, all of that, led up to this moment. Like, and so I don't see that as like a waste of time or anything like that. It's more like, it was more like I'm so grateful for that time because I felt like a lot of things that I've learned along the way really is helping me with what I'm doing.
Classical piano.
Now.
Am I doing that? No.
Right.
But same as you, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
It taught me so much.
Yeah.
It gave me the skill to even play my own pieces that are nothing alike of the stuff that I learned.
Yeah.
But it gave me the skill.
Yeah. 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 So,
we could go on and on.
I know we could. This is long form, guys. We
don't have to run.
We're not running.
Sometimes we feel like we have to run.
Yeah. Okay. What projects are you currently working on?
So I like, since the day I released my first album, I was like, I have to get back to the studio. I have to. But it was still COVID, and it was like this on and off thing, and yeah, nightmare. And but my dad said, no, you compose 10 pieces and then maybe pick one, which kind of made me back off with I need to get back in the studio right now. But it was also my last year of high school, and I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on finishing my exams. I'll be present with the exams. And so I had a little break from making the second album. I always had that in mind, always. But those pieces that I composed back then, but in the end of 21 and 22, last year, they were my attempt. They were nice pieces that I wrote back then, but little did I know that, stuff will change, life will change, and you'll have a different sound, and that will stuff that flowed more naturally out of me. So I moved to a new city. Everything was new.
What was that city?
Riga.
Shout out.
Yes. And a couple months passed, and I moved to a new place, and there already was a piano at that place. And there is something about that place where I live, because stuff just, if I tried to compose stuff for my next album in 21 and 22, then these pieces just, there's something about that place and the people that I met, the people that I had around me, that just it flowed out of me. And so I had 4 pieces that I was practicing, and it takes time to practice, and to practice for a whole album, that takes a lot of time. So I was like, okay, I'll practice these 4, record them, and compose how many pieces I want for the next album later. And life happens, and I the week before recording the studio, I had another piece where I felt so heavy, would be a mild word, but let's say heavy. I had to get it out, and it just felt so right, and I recorded that too. Cool. A week before the studio, and it's not something that I planned, but it's been I will cry to that piece quite a lot. When I practiced it, I cried a lot, and so I recorded those 5.
So you have five pieces recorded,
and now I'm just, it's a weird period I'm at, and I'm letting myself be in that, where you don't really know what you want to say. I had a lot of stuff to feel, and a lot of stuff that my melodies were saying. Then life happened, and now I don't know what to say. I'm speechless, that kind of stuff. And I'm letting myself be speechless. Now I'm kind of having, hey, what am I feeling? what am I actually, and it's maybe not something that I'm feeling right now. It's more about like hoping for the future, even something about you mentioned some like about the future. And so the stuff that I'm composing now is about the future. And so, yeah, I like that sometimes you start working, you think you're working on a new project and you're trying to get the idea of what it's going to be like, feel like, sound like. And then life hits you and stuff just flows naturally and you're like, that's the sound. You feel it in your bones, kind of.
Yeah.
That's the sound. So you don't, you know when you know. And until then, you work. You do stuff. You keep doing stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't wait. I didn't wait until, oh, this feels... No. Yeah.
So you don't know when album 2 is going to come out. Volume 2 is going to come out.
I'm hoping for spring. Because it takes time to practice them.
Yeah.
And even, let's say I have them composed right now at this very moment. I'm aiming for 9 pieces. Okay. I did 9 pieces for the first album. Okay. So let's say I have 9. I have the remaining 4 now. It would take a month or 2, a month to practice. And then recording them. And then there's something about not rushing things as well. Yeah, I wanted to rush and do everything as fast as possible with the first album because I had this weird feeling that I was late in life, which is another topic we could talk about someday. Just the feeling of being late in life and feeling like you have to do it as fast as possible because you're already late. This false sense of urgency or embarrassment or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it does nothing, actually. Mm-hmm. I look back and I'm like, what did it actually do? And so with this and the last 2 singles, I made it my goal. What if I didn't rush? What if I made it not as slow as possible, but what if I actually didn't rush anything? Mm-hmm. What if I took my time? Mm-hmm. It's been so good. I love it. And then people are more free. Like I think my producer is more free and stuff and feels more free. So yeah.
So spring.
Next. I hope for. I love spring. And that would be cool to have it out on spring. Maybe a bit earlier. We'll see.
Okay.
Volume 2.
Volume 2 coming out. Spring. Maybe.
I don't have to think about
spring 2024.
Hopefully. Yeah. Tell me about your next
project. Currently just I'm such a weird cat. I'm currently working on a script right now. So so that's not really writing music, although I am writing music in tandem. It's in tandem. I'm not going to release any of that per se. But I do have a dream of filming here in at the Forts because I think that place is very sci-fi. It has a sci-fi vibe. It has a Pinnacle vibe. Anyways, so project-wise, I don't have anything currently that I'm working on right now, but I am going to be probably in December looking at some of the vault music and just seeing, like, picking out. Maybe I'll Marco you and just say, hey, can you help me pick out? I'll give you free reign of the newsletter because so the newsletter is there's a free portion, there's a free part, and then there's a paid part, and so I'll have to like unlock all of those posts for you just to kind of, and then you can tell me which one I should pursue further, and just be real honest. I need that because it's, I
had that with my first one. I think
I mean, there's a lot to work with. So even if you pick
4,000 voice memos.
I'm not even gonna send you the voice memos.
Yeah.
I'll just send you the newsletter because I have a lot of music there, and I'm finding it very hard to pick music that I want to either go back to the studio and re-record and actually do it all right. Because those are all demos, you know. I mean, some of that you could salvage. Not some of that. You can salvage all of it if you wanted to, but I'd probably want to hire like a collaborator. Someone to come in and help me kind of help produce it, you know? I mean, a lot of it is produced, but I'd probably co-produce would be great. But that's, just writing the script, for Pinnacle. And that's been really fun process. I didn't know how much I loved character and writing for a character and story. And it's so weird because when we did Pinnacle, we did it completely backwards. I wrote the music. Usually the music, it's in post. Whenever you see something on TV, it's the music is usually in post. But I was so inspired by Hilder. Do you know who Hilder is? She is a composer out of She did the Joker. She actually won the Oscar in 2020, and I thought, holy crap. And it was literally like she won. I went to the symphony, and then like a week later she wins the Oscar, and it was just like, it was like and what she said, her speech, I forget what it was, but it was like super inspiring and amazing, and I just thought, I can do this, like, and her main instrument is cello, and so, but she did Joker. When she did Joker, she kind of did it. She wrote the music. From my understanding, she wrote the music first, and then the director kind of came in and kind of, and I thought, badass, so awesome. And then she won the Oscar, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like, look at that. There's no wrong way to do this, you know? And
it works. It works.
Yeah. And so when I approached my writing partner, Ryan is his name, Ryan McGrady, about doing this, doing a short for this music, he was just like, oh, the music's already written. Yep. So he sat me down and was just like, what's the story about? And I told him everything, and he like he took my words and created the story based off of what I said, and I was just blown away. And so now we're both writing the story for the rest of Pinnacle, because people really want to more of the story. So we're working on that. We've been working on that all summer while I've been out here and in Italy. I mean, I was London.
She's been
like, just Zoom. Let's just Google Meet it. You know, let's just get it done. You know, and so it's been really fun. That's been really fun. And then, obviously writing the music for that. So I don't really have anything on the horizon except for just, monthly releases.
It's just admirable.
Yeah.
Admirable. What's the word?
Admirable.
Yeah. I mentioned that.
Question my English. Admirable. I think that's right. So awesome. Okay. So we already talked about Waltz and Surely Goodness. Let's see here. Do this. Oh, okay. Let's do this. What are three books you would recommend?
Books.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Three books. Any aspect.
Any aspect, yeah. 3 books you would recommend people to read. I know. I know. Why am I? It's not even on my thing. It's just something that came to mind. Just something that came to mind.
Okay.
So 3 books.
First one, Designing Your Life.
You go and then I go.
Okay.
Let's go like
Designing Your Life, because I had...
Who wrote that?
I think Bill Evans and one... Whatever. No, what? Wait. I'll...
Yeah, look him up.
Designing Your Life, because I had actually 2 people text me, and we went for coffee, and their main thing was, what do I do now? Because they're high school graduates. What? And they wanted to text me. They wanted to ask me about, okay. And so that was a book that I told them, hey, it sounds like you need to read this. Because when I read it, it gave me so much peace. Bill Burnett and Dave Evans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Designing Your Life. And it's written for people that are about to graduate, or, they just want to know what school they want to go to next, or what profession they want to move into next. And when I read that in high school, it gave me so much peace, and it changed my way of thinking about there is no one right school. There is no one right profession that if you miss it, you're doomed. It made you write out a bunch of stuff. There were a lot of great questions that when I wrote them out, it gave me peace. It gave me peace, and I had my life laid out in front of me, and I realized I can't go wrong with my own life, so to speak, with the way that they asked stuff, and just made you realize on your own, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? So, Designing Your Life. Relationally Attached by Rachel Keller and Amir Levine, or however you pronounce it. That changed my whole view on relationships and why do I do stuff? Why do people do stuff the way they do? Attached. Yeah.
Okay. Next.
And the third one. Let me think. You answer.
I answer. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie. Carnegie. Wow. That book, I read that book every summer. Every summer comes around, that's a book I'm gonna take with me wherever I'm traveling, because I think it's like great. It's just great, and every time I read it, I just go, this is so good. Like how to honor people when you're, what you do when you're walking to a room full of people, how to negotiate. Yeah, it's just a really great manual for how to deal with people and and I figured I'm probably going to lack a lot of skill in this profession. But if I can get my people skills in order, like if I could,
that will get you
that
further.
would get me farther. Yeah, absolutely. And so
it absolutely will.
Yeah. And so I feel like it already has, how to honor people, how to, and I use how, like when I go into a restaurant, I try every time to get somebody's name, the person that's serving.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. What's your name? And then I repeat it. Sometimes I'll repeat it out loud. Just like, okay, that was Dave. Sometimes I will write it on my notes so I don't forget. And then I try to address them by their name.
Yeah.
And just doing that is just, honors people. So yeah, that's book 1 for me. Book 2, Stephen Pressfield. Anything from Stephen Pressfield.
Yeah.
Amazing. He is amazing.
You left.
I left Stephen Pressfield 4 years ago.
And I read it and I gave it to my friends.
Or was it War of Art? Which one was it? How did
no
Art of War?
Artist something.
The Artist Journey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it actually he's kind of like he's a writer. Like writer. Like he's done scripts and stuff. And I've actually been learning a lot from him. I get his Wednesday emails. And I love reading them because it helps me understand character and writing and hear the hero's journey and everything that I'm doing with film and stuff. Like it's so good. Like his stuff is just so good. Just subscribe to Stephen Pressfield and just buy all of his books because he is amazing. So, I mean, I would highlight one book, but I have Turning Pro. I have The War of Art. It's The War of Art.
Just Stephen.
Just all of Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's your third book? You don't remember? You don't have one? You don't have one? You have one.
I want to say the book that I'm reading now.
Which one is that one?
Something that you read too.
Something I recommended?
Something that you've read too. And it's about therapy. The Grief Recovery Handbook.
Yeah, that book is...
That would be my number one, but I hesitated because it's very specific and I keep reading it and I'm like, I don't think there's ever going to be a person that doesn't need to read this.
Yeah, I agree.
Attached shaped my views and it made me realize things about relationships. But this one it covers everything with one simple thing, which is grief. And then it explains.
Yeah. Well, I won't pick that one, but I will pick Rick Rubin's latest, The Creative Way, because that book everyone should read that. You should read that. So okay. Top 3 artists that you have been listening to.
Oh my god!
I know.
Fred again.
Okay.
Let me just. Spotify does these top artists of the month.
Okay.
Let me just check
to see which one.
Recently played artists. No.
Oh, does it do that? Spotify getting their half their act together.
It does it on my computer though.
See what that's okay. So Fred again. So you don't know what
Fred again.
Other artists. Ooh.
Ray.
Okay.
She has the most amazing voice and the deepest lyrics that will just hit you. And she has these beats that will make you feel like the main character. She has a lot of things in her songs. And then I would say Noah Kahan? Whatever. How do you say his name?
Noah Kahan.
Kahan?
Yeah.
He just
do a song with what's her face?
Lizzie?
Was it Lizzie?
I think. Wait. No. Wait, whatever. He just released an album and I've been on this indie since it's fall and everything. I've been listening to a lot of indie, like these folk type of songs, and he just released an album.
Okay.
And his lyrics are honest. Anything that's honest, really.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Honest. Okay. I don't.
Was that your second?
Third? Fred again, Ray, and this one.
Okay.
But it's really, I just have a song and then I listen to it for 5 days and then I have another song and I listen to it for 6 days.
Same.
Morning, evening, night. Just Isa, Agape. So this month and last month.
That's funny.
Isa, Hans, and
okay. I gotta give you mine. This is a hard one. Okay.
you asked.
I know. Japanese house.
Oh yeah, you've been listening to it a lot.
Gosh. Talk about honest lyrics. Listen, I don't care who you are. If you have some, like, I love Boyhood, and I love the other one that's been on repeat for like the last 3 weeks.
Taylor.
No, not Taylor. No, from Sunshine Baby. From the Japanese house. I love those songs so much. So yeah, Japanese house. She's amazing. Gosh, Mitski.
Mm-hmm.
I just love her. Like, just she's just so like yeah, the honesty part in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I love her use of choir in her music, especially in what's that track? Bug like a something.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, my brain, help me.
Yeah.
Bug like an angel. Bug like an angel. That I love that track so much.
Fall by Fall is Fall. Your playlist's name.
I know. I'm just trying to see, like, there's so many. I don't want to leave anybody out.
But, maybe for another.
You know what song's been really, really like knocking me over the head? Noah Gunderson, Better Days.
Okay.
Knocking me over the head.
We need songs that are knocking us.
Yeah. No, that was really good. That one's a really good one. So yeah. Any other? Anna the North is good too. So is Lana Del Rey. I mean, there's so many good artists, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to? Do you have any more questions for me? Do I have any more questions for you? I'm looking.
I think we have been speaking for
2 hours almost.
Yeah. Ha! I think, what would you say, just in a sentence or in a few words, what would you say now, the Isa that you are now, to the Isa that pivoted or even thought of pivoting? I don't know what was more shaky for you, but to the Isa that was deciding, okay, I have no clue. What do I do now? Or I'm doing something new. What would you say in a few words?
Probably, what would I say? Nothing's wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy when you're pivoting to think that everything that you've done before was a waste of time versus it's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
So I think, and I have had that thought seep into my core. So, when you stop doing the thing that people loved you doing before, and now they're like, some people are confused about what you're doing now. I've had to kind of go, I get it, but I also, this is my life, and
I'm here now.
At the end of the day, I gotta love what I'm doing. I gotta really love what I'm doing. And I love my conversations with Ryan about film and the thing, thinking about scenes and how would we film this scene. And I mean, these are things that I would never thought I'd ever think of, like I'd ever be wanting to do, let alone like writing story, the way that I am. Like, that's just, and I at times will say, I'm not really the writer. I think you should just you should take like 75% of the writing, and he's just like, no. And he's constantly having to, not constantly, but he has had to remind me that it's, that it's something that's in me, that it's something that I care about, passionate about. And just because I didn't go to school for it doesn't mean that I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
How about for you?
I think I would just...
Because you pivoted too.
I think I would just hug her.
Mm-hmm.
She had a lot of things said to her already. A lot of opinions. A lot of things in her head.
Mm.
I would just hug her.
In her head, did anybody ever tell you you were nuts, crazy?
I would tell myself.
Yeah.
She just needed to be hugged, I think. So yeah.
Cool.
Nothing's wasted and a hug won't hurt. So
No, it won't.
Let's be gracious to ourselves.
Gracious to ourselves. Yeah. Yeah.
And enjoy what we have in front of us because we're choosing that in a way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay.